Welcome back to the Hennessy's house with me, your host, Nicole Hennessy. Today we are joined with Lauren, who is a wedding photographer, Lauren Ashley Studios, and she is going to give us a very insight look at what it is like life after suicide. This is your trigger warning for anybody who this would be a trigger for. This might not be the episode for you. We're going to talk about life before, what happened that day, and life now after, and that grieving and healing process. So Lauren, thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're so welcome. I'm happy to be here and be able to help people. That's probably like my biggest thing is to make sure like people are aware it's such a taboo subject. So I want to be able to bring awareness and help people if they have like struggled with losing someone to suicide or if they're struggling with suicidal thoughts.
Absolutely. I think there is two groups of people here that absolutely can benefit from listening to a conversation like this. So thank you so much. I want to start off right at the beginning of your relationship. So let's just get a little background from you on how you guys met and how things progressed.
Perfect. Yeah. So I met Ryan in 2018. We met online. The first year was like perfect. Like I was like, I'm going to marry this person. It was amazing. He wound up relapsing in 2019. So a year after we met, he relapsed and I really wasn't prepared for it. And sometimes with people that you love, you're like, okay, I'm willing to forgive them. I'm willing to work through this.
Right.
Like I stood on my head and I was like, the first time he relapsed, I was like, we're going to go get help. We're going to get through this. It was very difficult because even on the first time he relapsed, I was picking him up off the side of the road. I found him in a parking lot, passed out. And I thought he was actually dead at that point. And that was extremely traumatizing for me with, PTSD. And I always had that fears if he was going to relapse again. So the first time he was able to recover very quickly. He went to AA, he got a sponsor. We wound up going to couples counseling. Ryan was planning to propose in November of 2018 on 11/11. And he had previously relapsed in July, I believe, or June or July of that year. And I found out about the proposal and I just said to him, like, I love you. I want to marry you, but I'm going to need you to be sober at least for a year and prove to me that you're capable of being sober because I can't live like this. And it was terrible and I felt terrible. But I definitely wanted to at least let him know what my expectations were.
I think that's very smart, actually. I mean, the reality is we all have baggage in life. So waiting, taking time and making sure that it's the right choice is smart. Was there an aha moment for you in this relationship where you realized the alcoholism was bigger than your ability to help him control it?
The second time he relapsed. And obviously the third time, because he took his life from that, I realized that I had no control. And I'm not a controlling person. It was more of, I can't fix it, right? Where the first time I was like, we fixed it, right? Like, and it sounds silly and I don't mean to roll my eyes, but I was like, it's better now, like blah, blah, blah. And then he relapsed a second time in April of 2020. So COVID hit and it got super hard and he couldn't go to AA anymore. His relationship with his sponsor wasn't as strong. We're stuck with each other. We're losing money, left and right with our business, which wound up being fine because like we survived. Like I didn't see it as like, oh my gosh, we're losing all of our money. It was like half, or like people push their weddings back. Like it was okay. And in my eyes, I'm like, everything's fine. I'm super positive. And in his mind, he's like, the world is ending,
Yeah. I mean, this all makes sense, right? I feel like COVID has definitely made depression hit an all-time high.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people are struggling with that. I also think that depression and alcoholism are almost always hand in hand with each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even realize you have the depression until you start to try to be sober.
We only had one vehicle and he promised me he was going to stop drinking. I believed him. And I knew he needed to buy a second car. So he was looking at other cars. I find him on the side of a very busy street, slumped over, like over the driver's seat with our dog, with our dog had no collar on. And I thought to myself, if someone pulled him over, he would have been arrested for drunk driving and a DUI. He could have killed someone drinking and driving. Then our dog, like I was worried about our dog, let alone if it was my son in the car, you know. I said, even in my text messages, which I was reading yesterday, I said, you cannot come home if you're drinking. If you are sober, I will help you and support you, and you can come home, but I am not going to allow you to come home drinking. And he didn't come home. He kept drinking and driving. Literally the day after he bought his car, he was pulled over for drinking and driving and wound up getting his 5th DUI. And he was texting me like, I'm not coming back. I'm moving to Seattle. I'm running away from the court system. I'm like, this is nuts. And he's like, Lauren, this was my 5th DUI. Like, I'm going to go to prison. I said, I'm going to come get you. I texted him this. I was like, I'm going to come get you. I said, but we're going to the hospital tomorrow. Like, I don't know what to do. I need someone to help me. Like, I'm at a loss. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, this is too hard. I can't handle this. No one's helping me. Like, his family, wonderful. It's just like, I just needed someone to like come up here, like just come up here and help me with him because I can't do this by myself. Like, I'm alone in this.
Like, you do understand that, like, you couldn't have done anything for his sobriety. Like, as a fellow woman who's in a relationship with somebody who struggles with alcoholism, a lot of what I'm hearing from you is what I heard from myself for a big part of my marriage, like a real big part of my marriage. A lot of, I'm going to leave you if you don't get sober. You have to sleep in the guest room. I'm going to take the kids. I'm going to move it back home. I'm out of here, all this stuff. And it took me a long time to learn that it didn't matter how much I threatened him or hid the alcohol or took the alcohol out of our house or took his car keys or went and picked him up, that there was literally nothing I could do unless it's what he wanted.
I'm doing my best to study and to learn this. One thing for sure I can definitely say is I know it's not my fault. I do not blame myself. I guess in a lot of ways you're right. Like, realizing there was nothing that I can do. I think I don't remember if I told you this, but like, I thought I was worth him being sober. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, I kept thinking to myself, like, aren't I worth that? Like, isn't what you have like worth being sober for? And I think
He'll make me cry. I know that feeling. I know that feeling so deep down too. And like, aren't my kids worth it? Aren't I worth, like, why is he choosing this over me? What did that day look like for you? Were there, now that you're reflecting back on it, were there signs? What happened? Who found him?
I just remember talking to the lawyer the next day with him, and the lawyer was like, there's nothing I can do. You have 5 DUIs. Other than getting you for good behavior, like, you got 5 DUIs. There's is a minimum 5-year mandatory. But I told him, I said, Ryan, you can live with me. You can stay in the house until we figure out what's going to be the next step. But I'm here for you, and I want you to stay sober. I'm going to be here for you, because so many times he felt like people would give up on him because he was an alcoholic. I'm like, I'm not giving up on you. I will love you through this, until you go to prison. Like, I didn't know what else to do. So on the day he committed suicide, we actually had a really great day. We had a bunch of photo shoots that day. He was happy for the first time that I saw. And I wanted to give him that. So we were making plans even for the next day. I'm like, let's go apple picking with Noah. Noah was at my parents' house because we were working. So I said, why don't we go apple picking tomorrow? We'll have a great day. Him and I went out to dinner that night. We got sushi. We were talking to his dad. Things were really good. Now, because Ryan was in a good mood, I had never left this guy for longer than like an hour unless I was shooting. Okay. So I told him when we got back from dinner, I'm like, I just have to run an errand. I'll be right back. Running my errand. And he calls me, and I was like, that's kind of weird. Why are you calling me? I'm coming home. I'm telling him, I'm like, I'll be home. Like, what do you need? Like, do you need something from the grocery store? He goes, I actually don't feel well. Why don't you stay at your mom's house? Now, this wouldn't normally surprise me because my son is immune compromised. So if Ryan ever got sick, I sometimes would stay a couple nights at my parents' house to prevent Noah from getting sick. I said, no big deal. I said, I still want to come home. If you're sick, why don't you sleep in the guest bedroom? And that way we can still go to Michigan tomorrow. He goes, okay, I'll be sleeping on the couch. I love you. And I said, okay, I'll see you in a little bit. Love you too. And I'm so grateful I told him I love you too. Because that was actually the last thing I ever said to him. And I'm not that I'm glad that that's what it was, but I'm glad that nothing was said out of anger or that he didn't say I love you and I didn't say it back. Because sometimes when I was really mad at him, I wouldn't say it back to him. But I'm glad I did in those moments. Come home. I pull in the driveway at 1111, which was our number. And I walk in the house, and the house is really dark. But the TV was on, and I'm like, that's weird. And his family asked that I don't specifically share exactly how he killed himself.
That's fine.
That is their only request. But when I found him, I was really confused because it looked normal. Like he looked normal, but like he didn't. And I was super confused. And I realized he was white, and I realized what was happening. And I remember screaming, no, baby, no, like, no, baby, like, no, baby. And I started doing CPR on him on the couch, call 911. I remember being on the phone with 911 and being like, I need to be calm, because the first time they didn't understand me. And I remember being like I have to breathe. Like I kept thinking like, breathe, Lauren, breathe, Lauren. 911, my boyfriend, I did at the time say he killed himself. Now, when I started doing CPR on him, he was hot, like warm. So I was like, I caught this in time. Like we caught this. We're good. And I remember 911 telling me, get him on the floor. And I remember being afraid to hurt him because, mind you, I'm 125 pounds. He's, double my size. I remember trying to like lift him onto the floor, afraid to hurt him. And then I remember doing CPR on him, and the sound, there's actually a sound that people make. It's called like the death crackle. It sounds terrible. I'm so sorry. At that point, I knew that he was most likely gone. But in the back of my head, I'm like, there's some hope, maybe some hope. Call my mom right away. Well, first the police came. So I didn't call my mom first. I have to give so much credit to the Burbridge Police Department because they were here within 4 minutes after I called them.
Wow.
Amazing. Like so impressed. I was only doing CPR for 4 minutes. Heard the police car, run outside. And I'm like, please just help me. Please just help me. Police officer comes in. He's using the defibrillator. He's doing compressions on him. I guess there's a machine that does CPR for you. They attached it to them. Call my mom. I remember just laying on my stomach, sobbing, Mom, please come now. Ryan killed himself. Please come. Police are trying to pull me away from him. I'm sitting in my kitchen. Police are like, please let us call your mom back because we don't want her to hurt herself trying to come and help you. Everything got really blurry and fuzzy. It was so bizarre. Paramedics came. Paramedics took him out. This all happened just so fast. And The police officers are like talking to me and they're like keeping me calm. I'm trying to breathe. Like I'm trying to breathe right now. My mom gets there along with my brother. And it was just, I don't know. I was angry. I was going through the emotions. I was screaming. And I kept telling the police officers, if he's really dead, just tell me. Just tell him. Just tell me. Like, I just want to know. And the police officer's like, well, there's the paramedics are working on him. So a half hour goes by. I'm thinking no news is good news. Like, they're working on him. They saved him. He's stable, whatever. And I was just so angry at him. And then the police officers told me that he'd passed. I hit the floor on my hands and knees and was just screaming at the top of my lungs, no, to the point where my brother was worried for me. My mom thought I had to go to the hospital. I got up. I was angry at them because I felt that they didn't like understand them. It's not really their fault. It was just, I was just angry.
Yeah.
I wanted to go upstairs. The police officer's like, ma'am, we can't leave you alone. And I'm like, why? Like, I'm kind of like like I said, alpha female. Like I come off kind of bitchy if I'm angry. And he's like, well, ma'am, we don't want you to hurt yourself. We have to ask, are you suicidal? No, like Jesus. I just want to be left alone. And he goes, well, what I could do is I have to stand at the front door, but I can let you go into your bedroom. Cause I just need to scream because my family didn't want me to scream, you know, like they thought I was going to scare the neighborhood. Understood. And I remember calling my cousin Audra to come because I just needed emotional support. Um, and my family loves me, but when it comes to emotion, they're a little bit different. They like really hold in their emotions. So I needed just someone like to come and be there for me, like emotionally. Detective comes, you know, they have to do a full on investigation because suicide is still considered a crime. Um, Detective does a whole interview with me. I have proof on my ring cam that I left. Now, our ring cams, we have ring cams inside, but they're only running if we want them to. All of the ones outside run on a daily basis, like always. But there was no like record of him doing anything from the inside. There was no recording, just from the outside. So it saw me. It saw us come home from dinner. Saw me leave. Saw me come back home, which was great because obviously, you know, you don't want to be considered a suspect. Uh, they
Like you don't have enough going on already that now you have the police being like, we need to make sure that this was a
They
suicide and
didn't
you're not a
say that.
suspect.
They didn't say that. I mean, all, you know, the detective, when I talked to him after, he goes, all you have to do is listen to the 911 tape. Like that's all you have to do. And he just said, as a police officer and a detective doing this for like years, he goes, he goes, sometimes you just know, you know. He took his phone. I'm thinking to myself, did I say something? Think I didn't, you know, but I'm going through my text messages. Um,
Oh, they were like looking through his phone records.
correct.
Okay.
Who he called last, you know, who he was texting last, you know, his web search history, like it's just crazy. One thing that I want to point out is like with a suicide, they don't clean up. Like they take the body, but like they leave the mess. And for me, that was really, really difficult. Because no one told me what to do. Like everything was just still in our family room as if he was like still there. His clothes, all the stuff he used to take his life, like it was just, and it was a mess. And I was really, really not upset at the police officers because it's like not their responsibility, but I was like also traumatized from that because it was like once
Yeah.
again, I was in this place of help me. And it was hard. So I left at 3 a.m. with my family. I couldn't obviously stay here.
Yeah.
I have amazing photography team that came out. I have guys on my team and they came out and cleaned up for me. And I am so grateful to them.
Good, good, good. I'm
Uh,
sitting here thinking, like, please tell me somebody did this for you. Please get to that,
oh,
because
yeah,
I can't imagine
yeah,
just sitting there in that. And
totally. And I give them so much credit. So I stayed at my parents' house, and the first night was really really hard because the hospital kept calling me for his organs and the fact that they couldn't get a hold of his parents. Now his family and his parents had turned off their cell phones at night. Some people do that. The detective asked me specifically not to contact them or to text them because they needed to contact them and tell them, rightfully so, whatever. But they didn't find out until the next morning. So the hospital kept calling me for permission for his organs and tissue. Uh,
and they
and
didn't
because
even, and they
they
didn't
couldn't,
know
because
yet.
we weren't legally, yeah, then his family didn't know because so Ryan and I were not legally married. So like, it was really very strange, because there's a time window that they need to like take his tissue and organs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I'm saying yes. Why do you guys keep calling me? They're like, well, we have to keep calling you because did they get a hold of the family yet? I'm like, no, I don't know, but I'm tired and I'm exhausted and I'm losing my voice from screaming and like, it was terrible. So uh, the next day was probably worse because it was like reality. Like when you're in it, it feels like a dream is happening.
Right.
Everybody reacted so different. It was really hard. A bunch of my girlfriends either flew in or drove in, but the day that it happened, one of my photographers who I was kind of close with then, who's like my best friend now, came over, came downstairs, let me cry in her lap. Mind you, I'm 5'6". She's like 5 foot. I was like, I'll just never forget laying in her lap. She was everything I needed emotionally. I just sobbing, and she didn't leave me for 6 weeks. I'm so grateful to her, Nicole. Oh my God, I love her. My other closest friend, MK, drove 5 hours in the next day. One girlfriend flew in from Texas. I mean, it was like the amount of support and love that I got was absolutely uh, insane. People that I hadn't talked to for years, were messaging me. It was in a terrible situation. It was awesome how many people were there for me.
What was the thing that for you was like the most helpful in that time?
Actually doing something for someone, reaching out and checking on them is a great thing. I don't recommend saying, let me know if you need something. I recommend just doing something, whether that's showing up and staying with them for 6 weeks, showing up and giving them a meal, showing up and, just even sending them something in a mail. Like, we sometimes someone just needs something because we don't want to burden you with what we actually need. We actually might need someone to watch our kids for an hour because we emotionally just can't handle it that day. Like, we might need someone to make us a meal because we haven't eaten because we just have no desire to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So certain people just showing up, and even if you can't like give money wise, I'm not saying money or like buying something,
Yeah.
just checking in, uh for
Like,
me is awesome.
yeah, I would say like letting you sit there and cry in someone's lap.
Oh
Like
my God, yeah.
that's huge, right? It's like
Oh
just
yeah,
let someone feel comfortable and safe to just let it all out,
sure, yeah,
right? That I to me I feel like that's because we are so, especially as an alpha female, right? Because I'm like that as well. And so it's really hard to feel safe to break down because
sure,
you just have that personality of like, I'm the strong one, right?
yep,
So you need like somebody needs to make, you need to be that somebody to somebody to feel safe that I can just be here and let it all out and not be strong right now because I don't want to be strong.
exactly. One other suggestion I really suggest is to keep checking in on them even later. So what happens is everybody checks in on you the first week,
Yeah.
and then they kind of expect you to kind of get over it. and move on. And that is definitely not the case. My most loneliest moments have actually been like more currently. Now I'm at the point now where I can ask for what I need emotionally. Um, but now is actually when I need someone the most.
Yeah.
And I have that. I want to voice that. Um, but I know a lot of people have mentioned this that have gone through like severe trauma or a loss of suicide or something like that, is people just kind of not forget about you because they want you to heal, but they don't know to check in on you 3 months from now, 5 months from now, a year from now,
Yeah.
on the year that he did it. Sometimes you just need to keep kind of following up for that person and still give if you can.
I think that's really good advice, because I do think that is such in any type of situation, people tend to be like, are you okay? Are you okay? When it's
Right.
happening. Right.
Exactly.
And then that does fade. So yeah, knowing that you have those certain people in your corner, and if you don't have people in your corner and you're going through something like that, you definitely should seek therapy, because you definitely need someone,
Yeah.
right, to come out to and to have those conversations with. Now, obviously, everybody deserves to have people, a village of love,
Sure.
but those people out there that are going through something similar, seek out help, find a support group, go to therapy, whatever it is. Go. Social media is great for stuff like this.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have been where you are, and so it is good that when people like you speak out and share their story, then that gives these other people, they don't feel alone in their shit. What are those hard moments for you? Like, what are the little things that are just that people might not think about, right?
Yeah. So uh I'm actually having like a rough couple of days because I feel very alone right now. And I've always had a relationship, and my love with Ryan was so abundantly strong and unconditional and like beautiful. Uh and sleeping in the bed by myself has, like, waking up without someone there has gotten like really hard, even more so like lately, because you go from sleeping next to someone, even sexually being with someone, and that's a point that I hear and talk to a lot of other women about
Yeah.
that have lost someone to suicide or a widow. uh it really messes with you, because like you crave that love and intimacy. So to go from that and having that almost every single day to nothing.
Do you feel like society in general will judge you on like moving on in another relationship or
Yeah,
anything like that?
I definitely do. I know personally, and I've said this on social media. I personally know that I'm not ready
Yeah.
to date someone. It would be completely unfair to them because I still am so in love with my relationship with Ryan and who he was. I'm also struggling with PTSD. Uh, and if, let's say I started dating a man and he didn't answer me or something, I might think he's, relapsed or dead somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not
Right.
fair. Uh,
Well, that's good that you know that you need to heal,
yeah,
right? Before you can be in something stable. I mean, you could be in first of all, you're beautiful. Second of all, like you're young, you're pretty. Like you would have no problem at all finding yourself another partner, but will it be a healthy relationship if you're still healing? No.
correct.
And I
And
think
that's,
I
yeah,
think a part of you will always be healing. Right? There
always.
will
Oh, yeah,
always be a part of
absolutely.
you that will hold on to that relationship you had and the love you had for each other. I mean, that's inevitable. That's not going to go anywhere, right? But to be able to let more love in. It's not about letting go of that love. It's about letting more love into you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk about that the feelings after somebody commits suicide. So, you're in a situation, this is going to be a hard one for some people to hear. So, like, I just want this to be a raw, honest conversation, and I want it to also not come off the wrong way. So, I'm going to be very careful how I word this. You clearly were deeply in love with this man, and he clearly had a lot of demons, right? He had his alcoholism, he had his depression, and you were by his side. You were finally at a point where you were done, like trying to threaten him out of sobriety and things, but he had these demons, but it doesn't mean you didn't absolutely 100% love him.
Oh, absolutely.
Was there any part of you after he committed suicide? Do you feel any sense of relief for him, even though you are obviously extremely mourning him?
Correct. This is actually a really great question because it's such a taboo thing. I did see a therapist temporarily. So I actually used our counseling therapist as my like recovery therapist for a while.
Okay.
And one of the first things she said to me was, it's okay if you feel relief, not from losing him.
Right.
It was, I don't have to worry if I find him off the side of the road. I don't have to worry if I have to find him dead. I don't have to worry if he's going to go kill somebody drinking and driving. I don't have to worry if he's going to hurt my son if he was drinking and driving. Like, I remember one night actually feeling that as I walked up the stairs one night and saying, I don't have to worry about where he is. And that's me being very open and honest. Like you said, I had a love with Ryan that I've never experienced before and was wonderful and strong. But at one point, I didn't have to worry what was going to happen next. I didn't want that, you know. I didn't want him to take his life. I still like so deeply loved him.
Absolutely.
And,
That's such a imbalanced amount of emotion. And I bet you're not the only one that had that sense of like, I don't have to worry about him and like what's happening. But I bet you not a lot of people say it out loud.
absolutely.
Because it's almost like it probably makes you feel guilty.
It makes, it's the fear of like looking bad, right?
Oh,
Like
but I mean, to anybody listening to this, you have to understand this isn't saying that she's relieved that he's not here.
Right.
It's a relief of not having to have a worry, but she would probably, I'm assuming here from the story, gladly have the worry back to have the person back. Right? That there isn't, it's not the answer. It's absolutely not the answer. And there isn't, because a lot of times I think when people are suicidal, they have this thought process where like a lot of people will say suicide is selfish. Right. But to a person that's suicidal, most of the time they're feeling selfless. They're feeling like I'm such a problem. Right. I am hard to deal with. I am hard to handle. And if I take my own life, then the people around me no longer have to deal with my problems.
Exactly. And even in his letter, he said that.
Lauren, you were the love of my life. 1111. We have found one another before, remember? Remember how our souls danced at the joy of finding one another in this lifetime? I will find you again in the next, and I will always be with you now, in this lifetime. My soul will not move on until I know you are happy and safe. I'm so grateful to you for just being you. You have always been perfect to me. There is no other person I could have ever imagined sharing this life with after what we had. It was so beautiful. Every second of it. Just wish I'd been able to get a grip on my own issues earlier, before it was too late. I understand and validate your resentment for me, because I carry the same resentment for myself. Just as you can't believe what's happened here, I can't believe what I myself have done. Our life was great. Our life was perfect, and it was destroyed because of me. Or at least some part of me. I pray that part of me dies today, along with my body, and does not pass forward to my next existence. With all the love in my heart and soul. Ryan.
If he could hear you right now and said, I feel like you're better off without me, and I don't want you to have to worry about me, so it's better if I end my life. Like, what would you say to him?
I feel that personally that life is worth living. And if you are so much at the point where you do want to kill yourself, like life is so open to you at that point. And what I mean by that is if you are so suicidal, you can literally do anything on this planet. So what I mean is you can move to Bali and just live there. Like you can like do absolutely anything that you want to do that you always had a fear to do because you already mentally are planning to like end your life.
That's a really good perspective. I've never thought of that. But if you're at a place where you're like, I'm going to risk it all, then first try to just risk it all. Make the big changes. What would you say to somebody that's like, this is fresh, just happened?
Yeah. You'll never like forget like what happened. But slowly you will move forward and you'll learn how to like adjust. But the number one thing that you should do is go see a doctor and get on depression medication if the doctor feels so fit. Because shock for most people, like it did for me, will hit you first. Because like I'll never forget the first 2 weeks. I mean, I was hysterical the first 2 days. I was crying, but I was handling it well. And it was like weird. And I found out from my doctor, she's like, because your body was like in shock and it was protecting you. And then when that shock wore off, I couldn't even like stand. Like the amount of grief that hit me, like I couldn't go for walks, I couldn't eat, like it was terrible. And I was put on Wellbutrin, which is a depression medication. Love it, amazing. Like it's the thing that gets me by. Like I tell people, like there's such a stigma against like
there really
medication
is, right?
and stuff. And like I said, I'm not typically a depressed person. My doctor calls this a situational depression.
Can I ask you something before you move forward with that? With being on an antidepressant, side note, you hear this a lot of people say, like, I don't want to be on medication because I don't want to feel fake happy. Do you feel like your moments of not feeling really down are fake, or do you feel like it's genuine?
I do feel better. So like taking it, my therapist said is like taking medication is like a buoy. You're drowning in grief, depression, sadness. The medication allows you to have your head above water and to like breathe and to be able to get by with taking your children to school, doing their homework, cooking, cleaning, taking care of your business, going to work, like doing all those things where you're just not so broken. And that's where for me, like I don't take like I can't even think of the word, but like instant good feeling medication. The Wellbutrin is a slow release. So I just feel good. Now I do notice if I don't take it, I am severely depressed.
Yeah.
So I can't get up off the floor kind of thing.
So it's a quality of life.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
For right now, you need it so you can have quality in your life.
Exactly. Yep.
So you said you're taking the antidepressant, which is helping with that, but you're a business owner. You're a mother to a 9-year-old that has special needs. So what is helping you besides the medication? What is helping you move forward with life and to stay positive?
I journal. I try almost every single day. There's a book. It's called the Mindfulness Journal. It's on Amazon. It's like $16, and you write in it every day for something that you're grateful for. But it gives you like a question kind of, and you answer it. So some of it has to do with your body, your relationships, what you're grateful for, like your business, your job, like food, like crazy, like whatever that day. So it has allowed me to every morning look at life more positively rather than waking up and checking my phone and being depressed, right?
Yeah. I'm hearing this a lot from different people that like journaling really helps, especially with like grieving and depression. Do you feel
Yeah.
like doing that has helped you discover who you are a little bit more?
I've always been like a self-awareness person, so this isn't necessarily new for me. But I do feel like having my day start off very positive every single day is really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. It sets your tone for the whole day. Lauren, thank you so much for being so open and honest and being with us here today and sharing your story with us. I feel like there's something that we can learn from everybody's stories. So I really appreciate you being honest
You're
and
so welcome.